Jungkook's reaction, captured for only a few seconds during his live broadcast, has now become a global topic dominating various social media platforms. A drastically changed facial expression, a suddenly blank stare, and an emotionally charged pause that defies explanation all occurred shortly after he saw an incoming message on his phone. What makes this situation more astonishing is the strong suspicion that the message came from Taehyung, a BTS member who has recently been rarely seen in public interactions with Jungkook. The question is, what did the message say, and why was Jungkook's reaction so shocking? This moment didn't occur in a vacuum. Jungkook's reaction came amid rising discussions about the internal dynamics among BTS members who are now busy with their respective solo activities. While most public attention is focused on individual projects, this one unexpected moment has reopened conversations about emotional ties long hidden from the spotlight. The shaken expression on Jungkook's face wasn't just an ordinary gesture. For many fans, it was a signal that the message he received carried significant emotional weight. There was no explicit disclosure about the sender's identity. However, some fans with sharp observation skills linked the reaction to an Instagram story posted by Taehyung just minutes earlier, a melancholic photo accompanied by an ambiguous caption about "trust tested by time." The timing and emotional tone of the two moments sparked strong assumptions that they were connected and that the message may have been a meaningful form of private communication. The viral power of this incident lies in the emotional context surrounding it. For many fans, Jungkook and Taehyung are not just idols, but symbols of a friendship built and celebrated over the years. So, when signs of personal communication between them reemerged after a long absence of public interaction, the collective reaction that followed couldn't be taken lightly. This isn't just about one message. It's about the return of a major narrative that once vanished from the public space. But what makes everything more complex is the absence of any clarification from either Jungkook or Taehyung.
Nos tatemens, no confirmation, no denial.
The silence they chose only strengthens public interpretations and fuels further speculation. Is this their way of maintaining privacy? Or is it a deliberate silence designed to let the public construct their own narrative? This phenomenon raises deeper questions about how small interactions can become the center of global discussion. Has the public overinterpreted a single facial expression and one ambiguous post? Or are these micro-interactions important precisely because of the rarity of open communication between two figures who used to be very close? Sociologically, what's happening reflects how fandom works to shape, spread, and affirm collective meanings from a personal moment never intended for public consumption. Jungkook may have just paused for a moment during his stream, but for ARMY, that pause was language. That expression was a statement. And that silence was proof. Across online discussions, including on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, various theories have emerged, from emotional reconciliation, a message of regret, to possible revelations of something deeper between the two. Some fans are digging up old video clips, reconstructing narratives from past interactions, as if to prove that the emotional bond between them never truly disappeared. But is that really the case? A critical question must be asked. Is this moment truly real, or is it the result of interpretive bias unconsciously constructed by the fan community? We're talking about a message whose content is unknown, an emotional reaction that is unexplained, and a narrative entirely built on assumptions about timing and events. This is where critical thinking becomes essential. We can't fully accept all information served by social media algorithms, especially when the news is born from collective observation, not verified data. It's important to emphasize that all the information in this article comes from various social media and online communities. Its validity still needs further verification. Therefore, we urge viewers and readers not to immediately believe every rumor circulating, but to reflect. Who is shaping this narrative? Who is this story being spread for? And most importantly, what are the consequences if the public continues consuming content that blurs the line between fact and emotional interpretation? Events like this must be addressed with full awareness that it's not just truth at stake, but also the credibility of the relationship between artists and their audience. Are we respecting their privacy, or are we exploiting every emotional pause for our narrative satisfaction? Jungkook's surprising reaction, whether caused by a message from Taehyung or not, has drastically shifted the conversation within the fan community. And to this day, the silence surrounding this event remains the biggest fuel for the growing speculation. We can all ask, guess, even hope, but in the end, only they know what truly happened. We can only choose to be wise observers or part of the endless tide of speculation. So, in the midst of this sea of uncontrollable speculation and assumptions, one fundamental question must be raised. Did Jungkook truly show an emotional reaction because of a message from Taehyung? Or are we trapped in a collective narrative shaped by public interpretation and capitalized on by social media? When a single facial expression becomes evidence and one ambiguous post becomes context, we must ask, where is the line between reality and digital construction? Phenomena like this can no longer be seen as ordinary fandom reactions. We are witnessing how narratives are formed horizontally, not from mainstream media or official statements, but from the dynamics of digital communities that can craft complete scenarios based on scattered bits of information. But is this process healthy? Or are we actually reinforcing an unverified culture of sensationalism? If all this information comes from TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and community forums, how accurate is it? And more importantly, how likely is it that this hyped event actually didn't happen the way the public assumes? Are we consuming information, or are we being controlled by a consumption pattern we created ourselves? This is the biggest challenge in the digital age, when the line between fact and perception becomes blurry, and when the speed of going viral overtakes the verification process. Many social media users don't even seek clarity, they just want emotional resonance. Jungkook's reaction, in this context, is no longer viewed as a part of his life, but as narrative content for millions of eyes hungry for their own version of truth. Is it fair for a private moment to become global speculation without concrete evidence and without direct clarification from the individuals involved? And do we truly want the truth, or just the comfort of a story that aligns with our hopes? This is an important reflective question, not just for BTS fans, but for all information consumers in this post-truth era. We must also evaluate, does every interaction or change in an artist's expression always have to be interpreted as a form of hidden communication? Does ambiguity always have to be read as a secret code? And most importantly, who benefits the most from narratives like this? Is it just an emotional defense mechanism of the community, or the result of algorithmic systems that push maximum engagement with ambiguous content? It's undeniable that Jungkook's reaction, whatever the actual motive, has sparked waves of discussion and revealed the strong pull of interpersonal interaction in the K-pop world. However, it's important to understand that many circulating narratives are not born from objective facts, but from emotionally developed interpretations. So, how long will we continue to rely on interpretation as the basis of truth? If we realize that not everything that goes viral is true, and not everything that is silent is meaningful, then we should also be ready to respond to every issue with a skeptical and reflective lens. Let's not allow our interest in personal idol relationships to turn into excessive expectations that erode the boundary between private life and public consumption. We reiterate that all the information in this article comes from open sources that may not be fully verifiable. Therefore, any conclusion should be based on careful analysis, not merely emotional impulses. Otherwise, we all become part of a machine that reproduces uncertain news and ultimately only enlarges an illusion we unknowingly nurture together. So, we invite you to ask, does Jungkook's reaction truly reflect deep emotion toward a personal message from Taehyung? Or is this just an ordinary moment amplified by collective thinking? Is this a sign of a healing relationship, or just a timely coincidence turned into a narrative? This discussion matters, because what we consider as news today might be a distortion we regret tomorrow. And only through critical awareness can we distinguish what truly reflects reality from what is merely a game of perception built on fleeting impressions.